I'm Isis Romero, and this is the news in San Antonio. Residents say they're fed up with a spike in violent crime across the street from Hemisphere. There have been recent shootings and other gun-related crimes in the area. Neighbors claim they noticed the increase when a nearby basketball court gained popularity. Sue Kalberg looks into the fear and the effort to make the area safer.
The neighbors say the action happens on the court during daylight hours, but as the sun goes down, the action moves over here off the court.
Make a shooting. Looks like the shooting victim is in the parking lot.
Take early Saturday, for example. One man was shot, and in the chaos that followed, there was a crash.
And when he went towards the crowd, he hit 3 of the girls. It's very, very scary.
Neighbors say they can't even sleep.
All night, I didn't get to bed yesterday till 10 after 5 in the morning. And I'm seeing pistols with the guys sticking their hands out of the trucks in my backyard because I live right there. You can see the fire coming out of the gun. That's crazy.
We looked at the data. There are deadly conduct cases involving guns, aggravated assaults, robberies, and more.
There is no place for bad actors anywhere, but particularly in downtown.
Trish DeBerry leads Centro, a group dedicated to keeping downtown clean, safe, and welcoming.
We're taking action. We are not going to tolerate this. And bad guys, you better be on the lookout.
DeBerry says converting the free parking lot into paid parking will help. But the real difference starts September 26th.
The integration of park police into SAPD will bring some 30 plus more officers into downtown.
Neighbors say they hope the new parking plan will make a difference here, but if it doesn't, they say they will keep working to turn the tide of violence. Downtown, Sue Kalberg, KENS 5.
Stray dogs attacked 16 FFA animals at the district's FFA barn. Now a local tattoo artist is stepping up to turn his craft into a fundraiser to support the students and their projects. Simone Simpson has the story.
It took just 2 nights for stray dogs to destroy what Somerset ISD students took months building, raising, training, and caring for their pigs, sheep, and goats, the ones they hope to show this year.
Vanessa Hernandez, mother to several Somerset ISD students, shared this heartfelt post about her children who dedicated their summer working on a farm to fund this year's pigs. Their family lost a total of 6 pigs in the dog attack. Now, one local tattoo artist is helping fund a fresh start for these students.
And I believe, Most High, very grateful, always blessed. I feel like I heard something tell me, hey, this is a great opportunity for you to help out your community.
Having lived in Somerset his whole life, Eduardo Aguero answered the call of inking for a cause, with all proceeds donated to the FFA chapter.
2, 3, 4, that's a 6 on Saturday, so 10 total right now.
Those are scheduled appointments. Since Eduardo posted this flyer this past weekend, his extended family was impacted by the attack that killed and injured 20 animals at the Somerset Agriculture Barn.
I have a daughter who does ag. And unfortunately, their animal got injured, so they won't be able to show the animal.
These are the flash tattoos that are being offered starting at $80.
I have one to where it's a sheet of different images, small images. Usually these are about anywhere from a 2x2 to 3x3 inch, picture. It's nice looking, but it's super simplistic.
We received this statement from Somerset ISD Superintendent. I want to express our sincere gratitude to every individual who has extended a helping hand. Through this difficult experience, our students have demonstrated resilience, and our community has once again proven that when one Bulldog family hurts, we all come together.
A GoFundMe supporting Somerset ISD Ag Farm will be linked to our website at kens5.com. Reporting from Somerset, I'm Simone Simpson.
UT San Antonio students returned to campus on Monday for the first day of the fall semester. The start of the school year was pushed back due to an attempted data breach last week. Rania Kaur has a story.
For the few students we spoke to that did have technology issues as a result of the systems coming back online, they told me those issues got resolved over the weekend. That saying, the university said late Sunday that there's still time for students to reset their passphrase, and there's even assistance available on campus. Assistance will be available at the Student Union Denman Ballroom, the Tech Cafe on the Paseo, and at the Tech Cafe downtown. You can also call the Tech Cafe, which is open for assistance at 8 this morning. Early last week, UTSA stated they responded to attempted unauthorized activity detected at the edge of their network before it reached core systems. As a result, and to protect the system, they took their entire system offline. University President Taylor Amy said the delayed start of fall classes gives the system plenty of time to be restored. 42,000 students are on campus this fall with 10 new degree programs, including a new Bachelor's of Science in Health Sciences, a Bachelor of Arts in Pre-Art Therapy, and a PhD in Aerospace Engineering. UTSA will be one of 4 universities in the state to offer that PhD program. UTSA also cut the ribbon in April on San Pedro on Dolorosa Street, which this fall is the new College of AI, Cyber, and Computing. And despite the delayed start, UTSA says fall break, the end of fall semester, and Census Day will not be delayed. More information on our website, KENS5.com. From UTSA, Rania Kaur, KENS 5.
And that's the news in San Antonio.
I'm Chris Lawrence with your top stories in North Texas. Carmelo Anthony's legal team is escalating their fight to get him a new trial after being convicted of killing Austin Metcalf. A judge denied their motion for a new trial, but as Jobin Punica reports, their appeal to a higher court has already begun.
Judge Michael Chitty ruled on a Saturday late afternoon to deny Carmelo Anthony's motion for a new trial. After sharing statements over the weekend, on Monday, both sides stayed quiet.
They did.
Attorney Jeremy Rosenthal is not on this case. He tells us this is the paperwork portion of the appeal, where the defense will raise any and all concerns.
It's not uncommon to see 10 or 15 points of error on a brief. The prosecution is going to file a reply to the defense brief and answer each of the points that the defense brings up.
Carmelo Anthony filed an appeal to the 5th District Court of Appeals in early June, soon after his sentencing. That court sits in Dallas, representing 6 counties, including Collin.
This is in all likelihood going to be assigned to 3 distinct judges of the 14 judges that sit on the 5th Court of Appeals in Dallas.
Jeremy, in his 21 years in defense, has appealed a number of times. He joined WFAA for its coverage during the hearings and was also in court.
I fully anticipate the emphasis of this appeal is going to be on the access and openness of the court issue because it triggers what's called structural error.
And that is an automatic reversal. The gentleman's agreement between parties during the trial will likely also be in the appeal. The defense will have to show how the breakdown of that agreement hurt Anthony's defense. Judge Chitty's order is brief. We asked what many are asking for the judge's full reasons for denial.
It's better for the prosecution and for the judge, if he wants to have his ruling upheld on appeal, to say less. If time were not an issue, he would certainly be required to show his math.
Again, this is the paperwork portion of this case. It is a long process, and Carmelo Anthony will remain in prison while that process happens. In McKinney, I'm Jobin Punica.
We're learning new details about the burglars who broke into CeeDee Lamb's home in Fairview. It happened about 4 weeks ago while the Cowboys receiver was at training camp in Oxnard, California. WFAA just obtained a report showing someone broke a window and stole several luxury bags worth $300,000. We also reached out to the Cowboys and will update you as soon as we hear back. Lamb is the latest professional athlete to have his home targeted in the past 2 years. State lawmakers from North Texas are planning something in the next legislative session that no other region of Texas has done before. Senior political reporter Jason Whiteley explains why they'll come together, Republicans and Democrats, to create their own voting bloc.
Hey, good morning, guys. This is all about DFW getting a bigger piece of the pie in the legislature. A handful of lawmakers right here in North Texas say North Texas needs to be more bold and fight together at the Capitol on issues that affect the region here. So they created a brand new caucus called One DFW. Think of this like a voting bloc. Republicans and Democrats pledging to put aside partisanship on issues that affect the area. Lawmakers from Houston have one specific to Harris County. But on Inside Texas Politics, State Rep Jared Patterson from Frisco says this new group is going to represent 5 North Texas counties.
We're at a disadvantage already. I mean, if you look at the state budget, for example, both budget writers are from the Houston area. They do a great job. I'm big fans of Dr. Greg Bonin, just outside of Harris County, and Joan Huffman in the Senate Finance, in the Harris County area. They do great work, right? But they're both in the Houston region. And so that's just one example where we need to have a little bit bigger voice in the process, and there's strength in numbers.
Democrats Ramon Romero from Fort Worth and Tony Rose from Dallas also part of this, along with Republican Matt Shaheen from Prosper. But not every local lawmaker decided to join this. Why not? We share all of our unedited political interviews. You can look for Inside Texas Politics at WFAA.com, or you can stream those interviews anytime on WFAA Plus.
I mean, everyone, you could tell, was very on edge and watching, and there was a lot of commotion.
An FAA investigation continues after a passenger's laptop battery caught fire on board an American Airlines flight to Dallas.
I think we have about 4 to 5 passengers that were burned by the laptop.
I just saw the smoke first, and then it all happened really fast, and he was trying to get it away from him into the aisle.
The flight landed safely at DFW Friday night thanks to flight attendants who contained the device in a thermal bag. Firefighters and paramedics quickly came on board, treating one passenger. The FAA says so far this year there have been at least 58 lithium battery incidents that involved overheating, smoke, or fire. The FAA doesn't allow you to place lithium batteries and power banks in checked luggage. They have to be carried on so crews can respond quickly if one catches fire. Go to the FAA's website for a full breakdown on how to safely pack for your next trip. Well, it's been about 4 years now. Our lead sports anchor, Joe Trahan, got a chance to judge some of the best barbecue in North Texas alongside Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott. Smokey John's took home the prize that day. And about a year earlier, our chief meteorologist Pete Delkus did a pop-up at the iconic restaurant, meeting folks from around town. Well, this week, Smokey John's is celebrating 50 years in business. As Sean Giggy shows us, it's a legacy built on heart and a whole lot of hard work.
What's up, brother? You all right? Whether roofing, banking, or real estate, John Reeves was a remarkable businessman until he was put out of business by John Reeves.
When he would close a loan or close a deal, he would just smoke a turkey and just give it to you to say thank you. When he did that, he would start selling so many turkeys that they actually weren't calling for roofing and mortgage. They were calling for turkeys. He was killing his other business, man.
Turns out John Reeves was even better at serving people than he was selling to them.
Good to see you, man.
This week, his landmark restaurant, Smokey John's Barbecue, will celebrate 50 years.
Dad was a trailblazer in so many ways.
John died in 2019. His sons, Juan,
very cool,
and Brent,
yes, man,
now run the place.
Yeah.
But they say their dad's vision was a lot bigger than just one restaurant.
He wanted to have a national brand or a brand that was recognized.
Yeah, one of the big things that he always said was, what you need to do is figure out a way to make money while you sleep.
John was full of big ideas, but as the whole free turkey thing showed, not always great at execution. However, there was one thing he mastered.
You get this big black guy, happy, smiling, and it just would make them feel just so loved.
To John, loving others was fundamental. In fact, there's a sign in the kitchen epitomizing that mission.
We got that idea from him.
That spirit is why John opened the door for others when he became one of the first African-American vendors at the State Fair of Texas. Later, he opened the doors of the restaurant to host Bible studies. And this week, his sons will open the doors to say thank you, celebrating 50 years by doing what he did best.
We want people to come in. They may come in as a customer, or we want them to leave feeling like family.
The legacy of a man who knew that to build a bigger business, just build a bigger table. In Dallas, I'm Sean Giggy.
Oh, Smokey John's is so good. Check it out next time you're in Dallas. And those are your headlines from North Texas.
In the immortal words of Glenn Fry, the heat is I know you were counting it. You know, you got to give a few beats. I'm Bill Taylor, Texas News Now weather. I don't know. Was he being ironical with a name like Fry, that he'd be talking about this kind of heat, especially in Texas? I mean, these are the dog days of summer. We are locked in with a lot of heat across the great state of Texas. You've got to be hydrating. You've got to be wearing the light-colored, loose-fitting clothing. Look at the heat advisory and extreme heat warnings. In fact, extreme heat warnings started Oklahoma City, go through the entire Red River Valley, right across that border and into North Texas, including some parts just east of Lubbock. And then you can see Lubbock almost into Amarillo for the heat advisories. And notice the difference, and it goes right down I-35 to Austin. The heat warnings are where temperatures could range between 107 and 110. That's where we expect the heat indices to be, the feels like temperature, in the advisory counties. And notice that those temperatures should stay shy of 105. But either way you cut it, I mean, it's going to feel like about 110 almost everywhere in the state. You know, the only solace you take is along the Texas coast. At least you get a sea breeze. With the air moving, it helps a lot. Remember, if you're sweating, you're feeling the faint and dizzy spell, maybe your muscles begin to cramp, some of the symptoms of heat exhaustion. But if you stop sweating, if you get a blinding headache, if you start to run a fever of 103 plus, these are a few symptoms where you have to take action immediately and call 911. This is dangerous. Heat stroke can be fatal. Please pay attention to your body, perfectly designed to give you those red flags and let you know when it's time to get into some AC. The high is going to be letting up. Here's some good news. The high pressure dome, the upper level high pressure cookers, I like to call it, expected to loosen its grip after midweek. So we're looking at Thursday, Friday time frame for a little bit of a break and maybe some moisture. Now, what could happen is the high just kind of drift its concentration or focus a little west. And so we go from precipitable water values, which are down to dry. When you see this blue and nearly purple, there is not a drop in the mid and upper levels to rain out. But what happens is if the high begins to shift its focus a little west, notice how that changes. And now we've got some precipitable water in this atmosphere and we can start raining out. The problem now, do we have the trigger? You need a trigger. You need a little outflow boundary or maybe a good sea breeze to get something going. We just don't have a strong frontal boundary. We had a stationary front draped across North Texas most of the week. So maybe an outflow or two. So models are optimistic on throwing in a few showers across East Texas. Again, remember, if the high is going to be focused a little farther to the west, we're going to be squeezing in rain just outside its periphery of influence, if you will. And that's going to be north of Houston. You can see maybe around Corsicana, Tyler, some of those communities for some pretty heavy rain that drops into H-Town. But then it gets a little bit more widespread, mainly across central Texas as we get into Thursday night. So right now we'll throw in about a 20 or 30% chance, as these are, again, mid and long range models. I think as we get into some more high resolution data by tomorrow, maybe those chances can go up. For now, the extended forecast. Hardly a drop of rain to be found. We're going to have to lean into the high pressure remaining in control. You can see some raindrops falling near Houston, maybe with a few scattered thunderstorms on Thursday, as well as Austin. A high of 104 on Thursday with that chance of rain, maybe even 105s for Tuesday, Wednesday. I mean, some serious heat for the state capital. In fact, that's the hottest city on this extended forecast. Dallas, maybe as hot as 107 Tuesday. Just dangerous heat. Make sure you're hydrating. Lubbock goes to 104 down to 97 with a better chance of rain and only 93. That's almost chilly on this extended forecast, and that's coming in on Thursday. Notice McAllen, no relief in sight. 104 to 105, 102 with a chance of rain in McAllen on Saturday. For Texas News Now weather, I'm Bill Taylor.
I'm Quita Culpepper in Austin. 6 Central Texas men face criminal charges after a multi-agency child exploitation investigation. Over the weekend, Hutto police say they led an operation to find adults who use online platforms to seek illegal sexual activity involving children, focusing mainly on adults who were seeking victims under the age of 15. They arrested 6 men for online solicitation of a minor and human trafficking. The men are between 28 and 55 years old and are from Hutto, Pflugerville, Georgetown, Round Rock, and Leander. Hutto PD is not releasing the suspects' names, citing department policy. Data centers have become a defining issue in the midterm elections. Candidates are staking out their positions as backlash against the rapid build-out of AI data centers grows across Texas. Well, today, Texas Attorney General and GOP Senate candidate Ken Paxton released his plan. Reporter Daniel Perot has more on Paxton's plan and why this issue has become such a flashpoint on the campaign trail.
It's the issue shaking up the midterms.
For Republicans running statewide, the data center issue has really thrown a wrench in a lot of their plans.
Data center facilities used to keep the internet and AI running are popping up all over Texas. Data center industry leaders say they bring jobs and big investments to communities. But more and more people in those communities say they're concerned about the centers spiking their utility bills and draining water resources, including at a hearing at the Capitol last week.
Stop destroying rural America under the guise of economic development.
On Monday, Texas Attorney General and U.S. Senate GOP candidate Ken Paxton released his data center platform online, vowing to ban Chinese technology from data centers and hold companies criminally liable if they power AI chatbots that endanger children. Paxton is also backing legislation to let data centers build off-the-grid power systems that are exempt from federal regulations. His opponent, State Representative James Tallarico, unveiled his plan in Austin last month.
We have to stop corrupt politicians from giving these sweetheart tax deals to giant AI companies.
Both Paxton and Tallarico are calling for data centers to use systems that limit water use, the industry to pay for its own infrastructure costs, and an end to tax incentives for the industry. In a statement Monday, Tallarico pointed out Hood County leaders asked AG Paxton's office whether it could enact a moratorium on data center development in February and still has not gotten an answer.
Gaining the support of people in local communities is essential.
In an interview with ABC News over the weekend, Texas Governor Greg Abbott offering this explanation for his recent regulations on data centers after expressing broad support for them a few months ago.
They basically dug their own grave for the problem that's been caused for them, and that's why they got the backlash they deserve.
Governor Abbott's opponent, Democrat State Representative Gina Hinojosa, is making data centers a key part of her platform and hit Abbott with this new ad last week.
Abbott took $20 million in campaign donations from data center executives and companies, and he gave them billions in tax breaks.
An issue defying traditional party lines, roiling this campaign season.
In many ways, as important of an issue as this is, it's a distraction for the fall campaigns that are really trying to mobilize what's going to be a really competitive election environment.
And that was Daniel Perot reporting. Meanwhile, Austin is the latest Central Texas city considering cracking down on large data centers. Adam Bennett shows us the steps Austin's city council could take.
Austin already has data centers, but not the kind of large-scale projects that we have seen draw so much controversy in other places. Well, now city leaders say they're trying to get ahead of any that may set up shop within city limits. In downtown Austin this week, this venue will host a conference with data center leaders. At the same time, across the street at City Hall,
this has happened really fast.
City Council will look for ways to regulate that industry's large facilities in the future within city limits.
Our rules are not up to date.
Ryan Alter represents parts of South Austin on City Council.
We have just heard from so many people that they are really concerned about data centers coming to our community and exploiting us.
Last week, Alter and colleagues got this memo from city leaders. It laid out staff recommendations for water usage, noise, distance from homes, and zoning. But Alter wants to go further by banning large data centers from existing zoning categories.
And then create a separate zoning category for data centers. So if someone did want to come here, they would have to go through a public process and ultimately to the council, tell us exactly what they're doing, and receive permission for them to do that.
Also on Monday, Councilmember Vanessa Fuentes posted this video to social media.
Until City Council adopts real policy, I want to see a moratorium on data center approvals citywide.
In a statement, Councilmember Paige Ellis told KVUE she appreciates noise monitoring in those staff recommendations, adding, quote, "My hope is that we can get similar accountability around air quality, climate, and heat effects by considering limits on pollutant emissions." Different ideas to regulate an industry that, in Texas, is still the Wild West. On Tuesday, discussing data centers will be the focus of City Council's work session here at City Hall. And then on Thursday, members could direct the city manager to research regulations and bring them back a proposal in the form of an ordinance. In downtown Austin, Adam Bennett, KV News.
Investigators are looking into what caused a fire that sent smoke billowing into the air over northeast Austin on Sunday. 2 people were hurt in the fire at the Austin Country Flea Market near Highway 290 and Giles Lane. Rosie Young, the general manager of the Austin Flea Market, says she was there and was the one who called 911. She says this fire burned 40 vendor stalls to the ground, and she says it was devastating.
And we're hoping we could get us back running this weekend and everything, and just going to see what we can get done this week because we have no power. So I've got our electrician coming out, see what he can do. City's got to do inspections before they get power turned back on. So I don't know how fast we can get that done. That's our main goal is can we get back open this weekend so that everybody can come back to work.
This isn't the first time the flea market has experienced a fire. In 2009, Young says a large fire burned 200 of their stalls. And she says a smaller fire broke out in 2018. Austin Animal Services rushed to get dozens of dogs out of its shelter in East Austin after AC units in 2 areas went out on Monday. Shelter staff say they used emergency AC units to try and cool those areas down, but they couldn't keep up in this heat. They had dozens of dogs that needed a cooler place to stay.
We really want to make sure that every dog here has the best chance at a live outcome, and we need our community to help us empty those kennels and keep dogs out of the shelter and into homes.
If you'd like to help, the Austin Animal Services Shelter is located on Lavander Loop in Southeast Austin. UT announced its first headliner for Longhorn's City Limits on September 5th. The Eli Young Band will perform on the LBJ lawn before UT's season opener against Texas State. The LBJ lawn will open for fans at 10 a.m. that day, and Eli Young Band will take the stage at around 12:30. Kickoff for the game is at 2:30. And that's all from us here in Austin. Hope you have a great day.
Here's a look at today's headlines across Houston. I'm Len Cannon. KHOU 11 is looking into why there are ongoing AC problems at some Houston ISD schools. Horn Elementary continuing to have problems cooling down, and parents tell us River Oaks Elementary also having HVAC issues. Troy Kless in Bel Air talking with parents.
One parent tells us she's picked up her kids multiple times, with those kids describing what the conditions were like inside the school.
So it's been a little frustrating.
Bailey Sullivan picked up her kids Penny and Walker from Horn Elementary early on Monday. Walker shares what happened in the building on Friday.
So last Friday, they had to move us into the hallway. And
it was very hot.
And the AC was only out upstairs, so they had to move us down to the downstairs.
Similar stories were shared with Anil Taliani, who says his 2 kids were sweating and uncomfortable.
I feel bad for them. I feel bad for the fact that they're there to learn and have a good time and get a good education, and they're struggling through something that should just be there for them. Air conditioning, right? That's not a luxury, that's a necessity in Houston.
On Monday, KHOU 11 saw crews bringing in portable air conditioning units at Horn Elementary. A parent told KHOU 11 that these may be rentals while district staff work on the HVAC system. Taliani sharing the potential impacts of kids studying in the heat.
Kids are going to be affected. They're going to have headaches, dehydration. They may pass out. We have our staff with the same issues, and that's not including anyone that has medical issues, right?
KHOU 11 received multiple reports that River Oaks Elementary was also having HVAC issues. HISD said in part of a statement, district maintenance teams continuously monitor and respond to HVAC issues across HISD. Technicians are dispatched as issues are reported, and campuses may relocate students and staff to cooler areas of the building, but parents are asking for better planning.
What do we do for the kids when it goes out? I feel like they're being more reactive than proactive.
Parents are unclear what to do if the issue continues.
I don't know how much learning is going on when they're hot and sweaty and can't focus.
We do so much learning.
So much money.
Notices from Horn Elementary staff say HISD determines when a building is too unsafe for kids due to HVAC issues. In Bel Air, Troy Kless, KHOU 11 News.
The Woodlands could pay the city of Houston $50 million for a promise to keep the city from annexing the township. Next week, leaders from the Woodlands and Houston will vote on a deal that would block Houston from doing just that. Megan Reyna with the details.
Right now, the Woodlands isn't at risk of annexation, but this proposal would make sure that doesn't change in the future. The residents I spoke with want the township to remain the same.
I'd like the Woodlands to stay the Woodlands, and I don't want it to become a part of Houston.
We just don't have any problems, really. So we want to keep it that way.
I'm really for it remaining a township.
Since 2007, the Woodlands has contributed a portion of its sales tax towards a regional participation fund with Houston. It's used to co-finance projects that benefit both communities. Part of that agreement meant the Woodlands wouldn't be annexed to Houston through 2057. But now, according to this proposal, the agreement would come to an end in 2030 with $50 million paid over 3 years. Houston would agree to never annex unless the terms of the agreement aren't met. The residents we spoke with believe there's no need to fix what isn't broken.
Revenue that comes into the area is probably dependent on Houston, so I'm not against paying our fair share, but I want to keep it the township. I think it's critically important to keep the Woodlands like it is.
Hoping they're going to do the right thing and keep things the way they are. You know, it seems to work, and everybody seems pretty happy up here.
And it's important to note forced annexation is illegal in Texas, but this would further protect the township if laws were to change. Both the city of Houston and the Woodlands will discuss this proposal on Wednesday. Reporting from the Woodlands, Megan Reyna, KHOU 11 News.
So how does a woman from Houston start a nonprofit foundation at age 20, then raise millions of dollars to open schools for children in a village thousands of miles away? It is the extraordinary work of Mandy Stein, a story about passion, commitment, and an unflinching belief in making a difference. In the foothills of Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania, there is a village where children are playing and learning. They attend 2 schools founded by Houston native Mandy Stein. She first came to the country for a summer program after her sophomore year at UT to work at an orphanage.
I show up at this children's home, 70, 80 kids living in a space suitable for 20 or 30 people, 4 to 6 kids per bed, truly horrific conditions. And they decided to throw me a birthday party. And I was just floored.
For your 20th birthday.
For my 20th birthday.
The joy she witnessed ignited a desire to improve the children's lives. It's one thing to have compassion and understanding about these kids, but what made you say, I'm going to do something about it?
There's a saying, if not me, then who? If not now, then when?
Within a year after returning to UT, Mandy started the nonprofit NEMA International. After graduating, she bought a one-way ticket to Tanzania with an ambitious goal, ending the cycle of poverty in the village.
So for these kids, they have 2 options. They can either wallow and follow in the hardship that they were born into, okay? Or we can stop it today and create a better future for themselves and for all the rest that will come after them.
She began fundraising and opened her first school in 2016. And when you opened that school, how many students did you initially have?
Only 40.
40 students?
Yes.
3 and 4-year-olds?
3 and 4-year-olds. And then we realized we were too late.
What does that mean?
These kids got nothing. We had 3 and 4-year-olds who had literally never held a crayon, never said their ABCs, didn't know how to count, didn't know how to introduce themselves.
So what did you do, push back the age?
Even earlier. So I take them as young as 6 months now.
In January, she opened a secondary school for children up to about age 15. The education is free and includes sports, music, art, mental health support, even job training for the parents. She has done all of this while raising a child, a boy she first met at the orphanage. She planned to care for temporarily in her early 20s. You taken a child, Baraka,
Yes.
That's his name.
Yes.
How old was he then?
Baraka was 10 months.
She was to keep him for a year, maybe 2.
He started speaking and calling me mom, and one thing led to another, and about 2.5 years after he lived with me, I filed for adoption.
And how old is he now?
He'll be 13 in November.
And how has that been?
Amazing. It's the greatest thing I ever did.
The next greatest thing? She got married last year. At age 35, Mandy has done more than many people do in a lifetime. She admits the work has not been easy, but says it is a true gift to see what love, education, and opportunity can do for a child. Fantastic work there. That is a wrap of your Houston headlines. I'm Len Cannon.
I'm Adrian Carbajal. Here are your headlines from Central Texas. A Killeen small business owner says he's frustrated after his exotic pet store has been broken into for a third time. Or Juliana Jackson spoke with the owner about what these repeated break-ins are costing his business and why he says more needs to be done to prevent another break-in.
So we had another break-in. We upgraded our security. We put the bars on the windows. We upgraded our camera systems. But this time they came in through the roof.
For Central Texas Savage Pet Supply owner Robert Abrego, this is another setback for his store.
They came in, they dropped into one of our rooms, they broke through the walls to get into our main office. Then they used some kind of tool to get into our safe.
Around $250 was taken from the safe when a small fire started, but was put out by the suspects. No people or animals were hurt.
Robert tells me his store has over 150 animals, and when a break-in like the last one happens, it can put animals like Bumblebee here at risk.
Because everything that we work so hard for, to work towards making this shop what it is, it ends up taking 3 steps back.
Last year, we shared this video from another break-in at the same store. A suspect threw a rock through the front window, shattering the glass to get inside. After 3 break-ins, more security equipment and barricades, Abrego says there's only so much more his small business can do on its own.
To see if KPD would continue to monitor this area closely. There's a trend going on with this specific area that it keeps happening. So more patrols through the night.
His message, the people responsible.
Turn your life around, take responsibility for what you've done. Don't let one terrible decision define the rest of your life.
But Abrego says he's not giving up.
We're going to keep pushing forward, and we're going to keep providing you guys pets and supplies here in the Killeen area. We're happy to do it. We love doing it.
Juliana Jackson, 6 News.
Killeen police say this latest burglary is under investigation and no arrests have been made. In other news, a local business in downtown Waco is expanding from a rooftop bar to a 3-story experience. Our Sydney Walker has more on how the spot is growing right alongside the city and what guests can expect.
As Waco continues to grow,
Encore is unfolding every day.
Justin Blaylock's business is too.
We started as just a rooftop. We added food about 5 months after we started. We expanded to the 2nd floor, and then the 1st floor became available.
Encore is becoming much more than just a place to grab a drink. They've got a lounge, shows and entertainment, and a brand new restaurant, and it's all on 3 different floors.
It's 3 levels of Encore. We're gonna have Encore on the Avenue is the 1st, Encore Lounge and Billiards is the 2nd, and Encore Rooftop is the 3rd.
Floor 1 is a brand new restaurant.
It's a little swanky, a little nice. We don't want people wearing flip-flops there. You can wear those to the roof.
Blaylock said it will be high-end food like steaks and fresh seafood at affordable prices.
We redid the floors, put fresh paint on everything. We've got future plans of a mezzanine in the great room, so there'll be New Orleans style seating. There'll be 2 levels in there.
With entertainment right next door at the Hippodrome or at their own movie theater.
We'll be doing special ticketed dinners and movies. We'll be doing murder mysteries in there.
3 stories of Encore, endless options.
I want it to be where you can come here and you can stay here all day.
In the ever-growing downtown Waco.
It used to be when Baylor leaves for the summer, everything's dead, and it's not that way anymore. We really want to be a part of the catalyst to bring a lot of things back.
In Waco, Sydney Walker, 6 News.
Blaylock hopes to see the restaurant open sometime in September. And those are your headlines from Central Texas.
Hi, I'm Brennan Gurley, and here's what's making headlines across East Texas. It's a new school year, and with fall classes underway for some college students, many are experiencing it for the very first time. Our Jesus Martinez visited UT Tyler to meet students and put them on the spot with a few rapid-fire questions.
It's the first day of class for many universities and colleges across East Texas, including here at UT Tyler. And I know it can be a little bit scary going to a university for the first time on your own. So I decided to break the ice a little bit with some of these students about how their first day is going so far. Check it out.
The weirdest thing I have in my backpack, this is a new backpack, so I don't know.
Disposable toothbrush with flosses.
smart.
Keep it on a squishy.
A squishy, that's not
Yeah.
weird. We love it.
I don't even know what's in here. I just kind of stuffed everything in here today.
Since I've been here, grapes.
Grapes?
Yes.
Red or
Just
green?
green.
Seedless or with seeds?
It doesn't matter. Just crunchy green grapes.
Rice Krispies.
Ooh, honey mustard dots pretzels.
Probably getting Chick-fil-A. It's not really a snack, but it's a snack to me, you know.
Professional bass fishing.
I don't know. I guess. Social media etiquette. Social media etiquette.
Gaming. Pre-chemistry. Today is, yeah, no, I don't think I'm gonna be able to hang with chemistry. I'm not gonna lie.
My debit card.
That's useful.
I'm on loans right now, so I don't need that right now.
Probably my cologne.
Your cologne?
Yeah.
It's useful though. It's
Yeah.
Probably like pencils. Nobody used pencils in college. I feel like everything's useful at this point.
Well, the useless thing on my backpack would be the hand sanitizer that I've clipped to it because I might use it or I may never. What's that one song like, We Be Up All Night? I don't know. It's by Beyonce.
Whatever I Like by T.I. I can have whatever I like.
A nerdy like Haven or something, I don't know.
Clean it up, please.
Go with the flow. We're just going with the flow.
Have a great year, guys. We're locking in.
With temperatures soaring, many people have cranked up the AC, and while your home is cooled, your electric bill is heating up. CBS 19's Brene Estrada found out what you could do to keep your AC running and your energy use down.
So they definitely make sure, they always check my thermostat, make sure that it's reading properly.
Ms. Joyce is a homeowner who knows about the heat and the need for an AC in Texas. She makes sure her unit is constantly being checked.
And then they usually go outside and clean the outdoor unit, make sure that's good and clean, that it's going to run properly.
So this one is not in need of any major repairs at the time.
Good news for Ms. Joyce, and it's also sound advice according to Tom Trimble with Encore.
Right now, with the temperatures over 80 degrees at night or even high 70s at night, your air conditioner never stops. Your usage is actually almost double.
Kenton Gurdry, an HVAC manager with Bannister Plumbing and Air, says many of the service calls his team gets can be tracked back to something that's often overlooked.
It's often understated how important maintenance is, but I would say the majority of the calls we go to are either calls from lack of maintenance or could have been prevented by having the maintenance.
One of his biggest tips, keep the coils clean.
So keeping the coils clean is a big, big one. If you keep your coils clean, it'll make it work efficiently and it will last longer.
And don't forget about the filter, something he says most homeowners should check regularly.
But if you have to have something easy to remember, I would say every 3 months.
And while your AC is working to beat the heat, Encore says there are also ways to keep your home from heating up in the first place.
And the other thing they can do is shut their blinds, because as the sun gets in the house, it heats up the house dramatically. So shut your blinds, shut all your blinds to try to get as much shade inside the house as you possibly can.
In Jacksonville, Renee Estrada, CBS 19.
That's a wrap of your East Texas headlines. I'm Brennan Gurley.
Hi, I'm Leslie Adamy in Corpus Christi, and here's a look at some of what's happening here in South Texas. A decision that could help Corpus Christi hold on to more of its water is now in the hands of state regulators. The city is asking to temporarily pause required releases from its reservoirs into the Nueces estuary, with a decision possible this week. Natalia Zuna has more on the balance between protecting our water supply and our bays.
A yes from state regulators could give Corpus Christi the chance to hold on to water it would otherwise have to release.
We've been in a drought for 5 straight years. We need our water supply.
After submitting a request to temporarily pause releases from Lake Corpus Christi and Choke Canyon into the Nueces estuary, it's an answer that many have been waiting for. Representative Denise Villalobos received this letter from the TCEQ's executive director that outlines what's next.
If not approved, then in the month of August, we will release 3 days of supply of water into the bay. If not approved, then in the month of September, I think it increases up to like 28 days of supply.
Dr. Paul Montaña at the Heart Research Institute helped write the original agreed order in 2001.
The amount of information we've uncovered in the last 20 years is just remarkable. So it really is time to take another look at everything.
While he says completely stopping the releases would change the base, he believes there's room to reconsider how the current system works.
It's actually state law. It's a combination of Senate Bill 3, which said that once an environmental flow standard is approved for a base system, it should be reevaluated after 10 years. Well, that, for our system, it was 2014, which meant starting in 2024, over the last 2 years, we should have been already reevaluating what the environmental flow needs are.
And Montaña is not the only one who believes changes could be made while keeping science and research at the forefront. In a statement to 3 News, Dr. Kirsten Stansel with the Coastal Bend Basin Estuary says in part, quote, "We want to work with the city. There are likely opportunities to improve how fresh water is delivered, so we achieve greater benefits for the bay with less water."
And 2 coastal bend cities, both looking to desalination as part of their water future, and 1 Corpus Christi city leader with a role in each. Michael Gibson shows us why Mayor Pro Tem Killeen Paxson is facing new questions about a possible conflict of interest.
Corpus Christi is considering several options to secure its future water supply, including desalination. And Councilwoman Killeen Paxson is involved in those decisions. She also has an economic development role with the city of Aransas Pass. That combination is raising questions about a possible conflict of interest.
I'm not working on one to sell water in Aransas Pass. That is fake news, and it would not require an abstention from a vote of a desalination project in the city of Corpus Christi.
We asked Paxson about information we were given that her economic development work in Aransas Pass includes a potential project involving marine desalination and the possible sale of water. She told us there is a project concept out there, but says she's not the person selling the project.
There is a potential investor who may have made suggestions that I reported. There is not a desal project that I am selling in the city of Aransas Pass.
But we still wanted to know if there was any possible conflict of interest. Paxson has voted on the proposed Inner Harbor Desalination Project and a federal grant application that could have provided up to $120 million towards that project.
Also, we don't do business with the city of Aransas Pass through the city of Corpus Christi. We sell water to San Patricio, so there's no conflict there.
Former city councilman and Nueces County Commissioner Mike Pusley says elected officials should consider how situations involving potential conflicts appear to the public.
As the old saying goes, perception is always worse than the truth. And so I think in those situations, you're always better if you think there's a conflict that you not participate in the vote when in your elected position.
And that is a quick look at some of what's happening here in South Texas.